to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for attending tonight. We're going to burn through the agenda items on the work session first, and then we'll address the, most of you are here from traffic and noise, I take it? Okay. Okay, so number one on our work session is the library storage shed results, the bid results. And Councilman Snyder has been putting those together, and I'll let him take over for that.
Thank you, Supervisor Bach. I'd just like to kind of clarify something because here's what happened. It was, we put the bid specs out, put it in the advertiser, Martha put it in the advertiser, and then shortly after that, it was decided that they might consider putting a window, just a small vinyl window in the back of the shed. So I said, okay, I'll just make that as a separate line item in the quotes and we can decide from there. Well, Inglefinger Construction was the only contractor who came to the walkthrough. So I asked him if he would put that in separately, and he said, yeah, sure, fine. And then that was that. Now, from that time up until when we had the bid opening, we had two more contractors bid on it. One, which is Veracruz Construction, they never called, they never said anything to me, they never anything. So they didn't know anything about the window. So that was fine. And the other contractor, which was DMR Construction, he put it in as a separate line item, but Inglefinger Construction included it in his bid. So these numbers that you see are slightly off. Martha and I contacted Inglefinger Construction. Yeah. Martha and I contacted Inglefinger Construction and asked him to send over in writing, taking the window out of his bid, which he did. And but at the end of the whole story here, it didn't change who was low bidder, which is Veracruz Builders. So, but here are the revised prices. Inglefinger, I believe that was $425, $450 that he quoted for the window. So even when you took that off of his bid, he was still second bidder. So that's the whole story behind that.
Okay, so Veracruz, is that $25,006? Does that include the window then?
That does not include the window.
That does not, okay. So we'll have, did he
If
send over?
we want it, we'll have to do a change order, and if we decide against it, then
Okay,
we decide against it. But they're all equal now.
Now, is this about where you expected these to come in, Chuck? I was a little surprised at the cost, but then again,
Well, we
building
said
materials are
20,000 and without the window and without the electric, it was 22. So we weren't far off.
okay, so this is an unanticipated cost. We figured this
window?
in, yeah, or the entire project. It's in line, roughly in line with what we expected.
Yeah.
I was surprised, but like I said, it's just, I still think you can build a shed for $4,000 and that's just not the case anymore.
No.
So, yeah.
No.
any other questions? All right, we'll put that on the new business. Let's go next to the highway truck bid results. And the bid opening for a new 2023 full-size 3/4 ton 4x4 truck for the highway department was held on August 10th, 2023 at 10 a.m. in the town clerk's office. One bid was received that was from West Her Ford for $56,573.43. And Dave is asking us to approve this tonight. Any questions on that?
So that's their second truck, right? Dave just got a new truck and this will be their second
Right.
new 2023 of the fleet. Or actually, no, yeah. Okay.
2023.
Yep. Okay.
You good, Jim? Okay, next we have the highway overhead door replacement quotes. And this is for a door that no longer functions properly and needs repair or is beyond repair. A national overhead door was $8,412. Hamburg overhead door was $7,302. And rep overhead door was $8,050. Any questions on that?
Yeah, just a quick question. None of these are the same company that was working on the senior center door that we had some issues with.
No.
Okay,
No, this.
appreciate it's a different type of door, but I
Yeah,
didn't
these
know if it's
doors
the
are-
same company.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're
thanks.
strictly garage,
Right.
commercial doors.
Good question.
Everyone else good? Okay, we'll put that on there. 4 is a request to hire a building department clerk. And this is from Kathleen Moffett. She requests approval to hire Dorothy Dolly Bailey of 124 Maple Avenue, East Aurora, New York. Oh, okay. As clerk, part-time seasonal, effective 8/15/2023. As confirmed by Erie County, she may retain a seasonal status of 20 weeks. And the rate of pay will remain at $17.50 per hour. All good?
You want to add anything to that, Liz? Nope. Okay.
What happened to Luke? What happened to Luke? I can tell you. All right, next we have a request from Martha, and this is to purchase 314 gallon recyclable bins from Cascade Engineering. The quotes were received. And Cascade Engineering was the cheapest at $3,371. The bins were $2,871 and shipping was $500. How long will those last you?
How long will these last?
Yeah.
Over a year.
Yeah.
It's-
And that's so,
We usually order them every other year.
so we're a little over $10 a piece for them and we charge $10 a piece to replace them. Is that, I think, what I
Yeah.
gleaned from the last meeting?
Yep.
Fair enough.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, next is a quote from GHD for the stormwater pollution plan for NYSEC telephone poles and insulator project. This is a cost of $1,200, which is just passed through the town and the we get reimbursed from NYSEC on that. So it's just an engineering fee. You want good on that?
Put it on that.
Anything you want to add to that, Liz? Or-
Just that the areas that they're working on, are delineated, wetlands, through which they may have to put temporary roadways in. So it's not just, up and down the streets that they're replacing these poles. They're, in some of our more, rural areas. But yes, they will reimburse the town. for
Are those like highway or railroad ties I see all over the place that they put down and create temporary roadways for construction vehicles?
Sometimes they use that, sometimes they use stone. But then they'll have to undo all of that work in those wetland areas when they're finished.
All good?
Yep. Same.
And next is the auction results for the pickup truck from the highway department.
No, lacrosse.
Oh, temporary use permit, sorry, skip one. No, they get out of order. This is a temporary use permit for the cross at Knox Park. And it's to be held October 28th and 29th, 2023. Hours 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're expecting about 300 people
No, it's 1,300.
or 1,300 people. And I think normally we would ask for a traffic study as we have in the past with other. So if we were going to we can either table this and approve it once we get the traffic study, or we could approve it contingent upon one. At your pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know if there's anyone here from the lacrosse?
Oh, you want to just come up to the mic real quick? How you doing tonight? Good. Your name?
John Gelati. Can we just kind of give you an overview of, yeah,
Sure.
So I'm the co-founder of the event. We started in 2015. We've been at the Bills Stadium since then. So we've done the event on their main stadium field and then a separate field that they have. It's a lacrosse event. So it's boys and girls, high school and junior high lacrosse teams from about 60 plus teams total, but from all over Western Europe, but also throughout the state, Ontario, Syracuse, Rochester, Binghamton, Albany, brings a lot of people into town for this event. It's a kind of we've got some pretty big, good teams, good competition. So we are also a little big sixes style. So it's a lot easier for a team to be able to play versus the 11 person format, which is normal lacrosse. So we've I think we've used 2 football fields at the Bill Stadium. We would use probably about the same 2 soccer fields, with a footprint here, maybe a couple more since there's plenty of space there. But I think it bring a ton of people into town. I think in a good way on a Sunday. And that could be a good opportunity to kind of follow up on the rugby and the polo that are going on at the fields already.
So what we normally ask of the applicant is a traffic and parking study or a plan to have in place. And you can work through Dave Gunner on that. And-
Actually, I have the plans in my office.
Oh, they did submit it?
No, the plans from others.
Okay,
Then I usually work with the individuals and we
Okay.
pick out which plan is the best for them.
okay. Yeah, so if you would want to get with the clerk,
Sure.
I wouldn't have a problem passing it tonight contingent upon a plan.
Yeah, I just have a quick question if I may.
Yeah.
So is this with other events we've had, it's sort of, there's 1,300 people listed. Do you expect everybody to be on site at the same time?
No, good question. So it's staggered throughout the day. So your teams generally play in like a 4-hour window or so. So people rotate in and out. You're playing, a game every hour or so. So people rotate in and out. We'll never have that many people on site at once. And
How many vehicles do you think you'd have at any one time? I'm just guesstimating.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm not gonna hold you to it.
So let's say we have 6 games going on at 6 to 9 games going on at once times, I'd say maybe 100 or so at the most.
Really, at anyone? That's not bad at all. Then. Okay.
Maybe not, yeah. I think the parking that's on the south end or whatever that closer end of town is would be more than enough for parking at any one time. I think looking at the footprint, we could do the opposite, that opposite side where parking is if we really need overflow, but I don't think we would need that much at one time.
Right, and this is a 2-day event?
One day that we would need to set up and paint the
Okay.
lines and everything on Saturday, but the participation would all be Sunday, like at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Like it wouldn't go too late because we don't have lights. So
Good. So you could maybe make some time and meet with the clerk sometime this week or
sure.
so. And
Email.
what's that?
So we can email.
Or email
Okay.
and adopt a plan for us. And again, I don't have a problem with approving it tonight contingent upon that.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Jim, John, before you go, Jim, as far as approving it, I'm happy to do that. Do we put a timeline on that? That we need a plan by September 1st, October 1st? Because this isn't until late October.
Yeah, if you're gonna get together with Martha in the next week or so, just, if you can adopt a plan and
Sure. Yeah.
we'll get it done. So,
Happy
yeah.
to do as quickly as possible, depending on what I need to do.
We have, like Martha said, we have several plans from other people. We just want to make sure that Dave's on board with it. Shane's on board with it. Everyone knows what's going on that day. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
I'll reach out tomorrow.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, next we have the pickup truck auction results from Elizabeth DeVizio. And the 2015 F-250 pickup truck closed at 24,400. And then they had a Tommy Gate, which closed at $25. The Tommy Gate was, you could have scrapped it, so might have gotten the same amount. I don't know what, looked like a good number on the truck to me, so.
Yeah.
Everyone go with that? Okay. Okay. All right, so next we have the noise in traffic speed on Center Street. And I know that most of you here are here tonight to hear about that. We've gotten some letters, and I believe it's a lot to do with the speed, the noise. From what I understand, a lot of it was in the village by the American Legion coming off the hill, but there is some in the town also. I have a lot of questions on noise that I guess I would have to ask Shane on. But as far as the town part of it, what we can do is we can petition the county or the New York State Department of Transportation, is a county road, to do a traffic study for speed. We can't set the speed. We have to go through the Department of Transportation and get a recommendation on what we feel the speed should be, and then they give us the results. As far as the noise, I think that's an enforcement issue. I guess one of my questions for Shane would be these heavy construction trucks coming down the hill. Are we able to enforce a no engine brake on a construction vehicle coming down a hill like that? Because I know they do make noise.
They do in other communities. I know Warsaw does with their big hill coming into the village. So that would be a possibility for the construction vehicle noise.
So that would be something we would have to ask the county to do, right? Because it's a county road.
Yeah. I don't know about that. You might be able to have a town ordinance that says no Jake brakes and have the county put up signs. I don't know if they would have to determine if you could do that ordinance or not.
We have to work with the county. And if they're totally against it, then it probably wouldn't happen.
Okay.
So I know everyone's probably going to want to talk about the same thing. I'm wondering if we could just have maybe one or two spokespersons.
Can I ask a question real quick, Jim, which I think is part of the complaint too? Are you able to enforce issues with excessively loud mufflers or mufflers that are deliberately modified to be loud? Or what's the legality of the emission of noise from a vehicle?
Well, it's sound. It's modified. The actual charge would be a modified exhaust or a loud exhaust. Diesels are built louder than gasoline vehicles, trucks, same truck, different engine, different noise. The older trucks, the older they get, the louder they get. Several of the vehicles out there, they're only loud when the driver hits the gas. If he sees a police car, he's not hitting the gas. That's hard to catch. But there are traffic violations for that. Yes.
So what I'm hearing from residents that I've spoken with is there's offenders, regular offenders. It's not a matter of it's not as random, right? There's a handful of vehicles, particularly trucks, that do it. How as police chief, do you think we can sort of address that issue to improve the quality of life for the residents living in that area?
There is no magic wand. We can sit in a location and they'll behave as we're sitting there. And then as soon as they don't see us there, they're doing what they do. We sit on stop signs. People behave when the police car is a half block down the road, sitting there watching the stop sign. As soon as the police car is not there, they're back to in a hurry, like everybody is, and not coming to complete stops.
What if the police car wasn't sitting there? What if it was an unmarked vehicle or the police car was further down the road?
We only have 2 unmarked vehicles, so they're not always readily available for that. That helps. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've spoken to a couple people in this complaint, and just to give everybody on the board and everybody here a little background, we had 3 officers out this year on family medical leave act for births in their family. We were short an officer position, and we had an officer join the military and go away for 9 weeks to boot camp. So we've been incredibly short. Everybody's back from family medical leave act now. The officer that joined the military is back to duty. And we just hired a lateral transfer and another hire that's just started the police academy. So that will fill our contingent of 18 officers. So in the next few months, we'll have the manning to be able to be more proactive with traffic complaints. But I hope everybody here knows this is not a Center Street issue. It's an issue everywhere there's a paved road and cars in this country. It's COVID. And just so everybody knows, I've heard a lot of terms thrown around about there's more reckless driving now, and there's more speeding now, and there's more everything now. Well, in 31 years of law enforcement, I can correlate the actual fact of that correlating with accidents. Our accidents are down now from what they were in 2017 and prior. 2017, we had just not injury accidents, but property damage accidents. We had 395 in 2017. It steadily decreased until COVID, which everything was locked down and we didn't have as much traffic. Last year, back to somewhat normal life and everything reopened, we had 336 property damage accidents. So that's still 60 below what we were in 2017. So I think there's more of a correlation of more people working at home now and being more observant of how much traffic is in this community during the day. When you're working and you're out of town, you don't notice it. But the buildings, the houses that have gone up in this community over the last 10 years, probably a third of the total houses that were here before went up in the last 10 years. There's a lot more people here. There's a lot more cars here, and there's a lot more traffic. And with that, it's going to be more noise and more issues. But with our accidents down, and occasionally over the last couple of years, we've had a handful of pedestrians hit by cars. Almost all, if not all, were all on Main Street, and the pedestrians were walking against traffic lights. Traffic is, from what I see and what my officers see, is very cognizant when there's people around, for the most part. But the police department can't stop everything. Like I said, when we're not there, people are going to do dumb things. That's kind of how society is. But we do the best job we can with what we've had this year. And now going forward, I expect our tickets to rise quite a bit, because we'll have more availability of officers, with some able to handle the calls while other can dedicate to traffic enforcement. So just a spiel there. Sorry, went on a tangent.
No, not at all. I think everybody appreciates the information. I just want to ask one more question. And I'm in the same vein as Supervisor Bach. I think we can ask some questions that a lot of people might have, and maybe cut down on the need for everybody to repeat it, right? So if we have say the group in this room has identified known offenders, right? Like, oh, it's this white pickup truck. It's every day at 3:00, right? That seems to me like something you could probably address if you can get a pattern, you can get a description, right? That makes it a little bit easier to maybe, assuming staffing is at full level.
Absolutely. And we do this with criteria such as, this time every day, we have a better chance of catching that person. Again, not every location of a traffic complaint's the best spot to hide a police car. And then we can't issue a traffic ticket unless there's an accident that we can investigate to show who was at fault, or the officer actually observes it. So
Well, we're talking about an excessive noise type thing. Somebody's, like you said, diesels are louder by nature,
Right.
but we're dealing with a situation where somebody has deliberately augmented the sound of their vehicle. Then we're clearly in an area where somebody can be issued a ticket. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane.
So I do have a question though. As far as the complaints that we're hearing right now, I know I live on Girard. I don't hear as much as I think maybe people do on a busier route like Center. Everyone's heard about the Kia challenge, and I'm sure police are on the lookout, to help people keep their cars safe. This kind of revving your engine in a truck is a new thing. So I guess the question is, keeping in mind that you do have a couple unmarked cars, and you're going to be at full staff shortly. Is there a plan that you're working with the community with to kind of address it in that particular area of Center Street? Is that something that you can do? Or is that something you're already doing?
Yeah, historically we've done that. Ask the people on Pine Street in the village, ask the people on Buffalo Road, on 20A on both sides of the village. Wherever there's traffic, there's going to be traffic complaints. Right. The plan is when we have manpower, we put it to the current trouble spot and try to do multiple trouble spots throughout a 24-hour period. Calls get in the way. The new thing now is the red flag, the IRPA law. We spend more time, one officer tied up for a 12-hour shift, dealing with these IRPA situations, which are mentally ill or suspected mentally ill people that are a danger to themselves or others and own guns. We have to take the person into ECMC. We have to file copious amounts of paperwork. We have to go to county court to present the case to the judge. And that ties one officer up for days. And it's time consuming, especially when we're shorthanded. We're paying people on overtime that just worked a 12-hour shift to cover the shift. So we have our minimum complement of 2. So, it's once we're back up to manning, I will be pushing the village to buy us an extra vehicle that's unmarked. But I do have some concerns with that, because sometimes people will use that as an excuse that I didn't know it was a real police car, so I didn't want to stop. And that turns into a car chase. And those are inherently dangerous, and we don't want those. So, but we're working on it, right, as we always do.
But yeah, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the short staff, and I've handled many IRPAs over the past year since they've been coming to play. But I guess the question is there an opportunity to, besides tonight, to sit down with, I live on Girard. There's not a group of people from Girard sitting here tonight. There's not a group of people on Pine. No. Is there an opportunity for you to sit down, if you haven't already, and specifically address that? Because Center Road, people come down the hill, as you know, at 60, 70 miles an hour, and they kind of look at that 30 as a suggestion. So they get to the stop sign. I
would be shocked to find a car doing 70 down that hill regularly. I'm not saying it's not done, but it's not a regular occurrence by any means. I've worked here with a radar unit in my car for 31 years, and I've never, maybe if they were intoxicated at 2 o'clock in the morning, never found somebody doing 70.
Yeah, and 70 was just hyperbole. Yeah. I didn't mean.
Well, yeah, but people take you to heart sitting up there saying they're driving 70 down Main Street.
Yeah, so people are speeding down, I think, regularly down Center Road to get to the village.
That's one of our main routes to travel between the village and out to West Falls and out to Wales, where we're patrolling and going back and forth all the time. If that was the case, we would be seeing speeding tickets regularly there, and we don't see that. We do get numerous complaints of speeding throughout the community. We have 2 speed monitoring signs that document how many cars, what speeds the cars are going at, and if they're an enforceable range of speeding. We put those signs up regularly, and they hardly ever come back that there's a speeding issue in that area. There's more to it than what meets the eye.
Do we want to do that on center just to be able to evaluate?
Absolutely. And we have them up regularly through the summer months. And that'll be on our list.
Yeah. So if we put one up, that'll give us the data then
Yep.
to be able to support. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then if people here have suggestions,
The only pause to that is we have to have a street sign in there in a proper spot to put it because it attaches to a street sign. So that does limit us in some situations, but on Center Street, that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing is, I don't know if I apologize. I had to go step out for a second, is talking about the study for the speed limit there.
Right. So
If there
we
is
talked about that,
if there is a kayak launch that will be put in, that's another little wrinkle in there that would affect the speed study, because you're coming over that, if on the right-hand side, you go to the American Legion, on the left-hand side, you have a parking lot, depending on what, Erie County soil and whatever that project is. That's another issue that we would maybe want to wait to the speed study until we had clarification about that. Or
Well, at the earliest, I don't think that's going until next year.
Right.
And maybe we can get the speed study done in relatively short period of time, Shane.
I would imagine.
what I think we should start with is the TE9 speed study. I can get with the county and talk to them about the engine brake.
Yep.
I think you need to contact the village because a lot of the problem is coming off the hill into the village. So they're going to have to also look at that. And when I talk to the county, I can say, I don't know if maybe we can do it together as a town village. I don't know. Study, because it's a county road turns into a village road, but it's after the American Legion. I think American Legion's right where the town starts.
Does it
Just
remain-
after-
Right, but it's a county road.
It's a
all the
county
way to
road.
Main
all the
Street.
way. So I can talk to, we gotta have a good, we do have a good contact at the county for that. She's very responsible. And I would encourage maybe more signage, do people pay attention? I don't know what, driveways coming up, something to alert people that there's driveways, slow down. Whether it's a blinking light, I don't know, but the county will be able to tell us what they can do, and ultimately the Department of Transportation will dictate what the speed will be.
And you can do your own speed study
Oh, absolutely.
on a county, on a state road.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, we can put our speed sign up anywhere.
And then if there are specific cases, like Joe was saying, white truck, certain time of the day, then that's just an email, right, to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that would be, all you great people out there, if you see something and you can get a license plate or anything like that, get that information to the department. You had a question? Sorry. You want to use the microphone because they won't be able to hear you on YouTube.
Get their name.
Yeah, we need your name and address, please.
I'm Mary Reed. I live at 312 Center Street, at the corner of Linden and Center. And so there are a couple of points, because we appreciate that we've bent his ear, many of us separately, to talk about this. So just a couple of points. We understood that we would have an opportunity to speak, and I think a lot of people came with a limit of, a couple minutes, so it wouldn't go on. And so there's a few points I'd like to make. One is Center is a problem. I don't really know about Bowen because I only live on Center, but there are people from Bowen, there are people from Pine, there are people on the corner of Center and South. So it's really a profuse problem on any of, there's someone on a road, one of the roads where just last night they had people doing wheelies on motorcycles up and down their street, wherever Warren lives. I can't remember, but Girdle. Okay, so it is a problem, and I understand it's a national problem, but I live in East Aurora, and I lived here for 21 years because of the kind of community that it is. And so while my friends in Buffalo suffer the same problem, I don't want to suffer this problem. it's people using our stop signs as starting lines. I mean, I don't know about coming in to the village, but going out from that stop sign at night during it's, you know, grinding the engines and taking off up the hill at 11:30 and stuff like that. So, you know, we did ask our neighbors and from the town and village to bring up their own issues. What are some solutions? Do we use, you know, signage? There's some national studies about what works, what doesn't work. Do we use rumble strips, which are really disturbing when you're trying to grind your wheels and get between Center and Linden and Prospect and Center? I mean, it is really disturbing. And, you know, while we're not having accidents, there are a lot of people along these roads that fear for their kids because we know how fast they're going. It may not be 70 coming into the village, although, you know, I was almost hit at the bus stop once by someone. It is really disturbing. It is unsafe. And, you know, we have a lot of people have young kids. So, so I do think that at least representatives from different parts of the village should speak. If you want us to send our letters to you and to the town board, the village board will do that. I was told getting a license number and the description of a truck and giving it to him doesn't solve any problems because he can't give a ticket. So, you know, we're just really, we want to have solutions. We wanted this to start the discussion. And we do think, you know, I'm a grant writer. I'll write grants to get money from the state if that's what it takes to really make it different in East Aurora, because we've noticed the big difference.
Right.
And it's not just traffic, because 90% of people may not stop at the stop sign, but you know, they're not the problem.
Right.
So, but I do think there should be some other representatives from the problem, like Ted and Renee, who represent a few other parts, to just have a chance to speak. And then we really want your advice on how we can do something about this.
So like the plan that I just said is a start. Okay. There isn't one solution to this problem, as the police chief will tell you. It's going to be a number of things that we need to do, hopefully to curb the speed and the noise. So, you know, seeing someone do it or getting their plate number is one thing, but meeting with the county, again, it's going to be huge for us to meet with the county. It is a county road. We need their permission to do anything we do on that road. And so meeting with them, getting their recommendations, meeting with, sending a TE9 study into the DOT. They will dictate what the speeds are. We're going to have to get with the village because, you know, it turns into the village at a certain spot and work together. And yes, I'm sure there are other roads. I mean, but it's going to be the same source of how to address it. And I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Shane, but I don't know what else.
One thing just to add, I do think that it's an easier issue to look into if it is something like on Center, this is a problem at this location. That allows us to think about and work with the other government, you know, levels to be able to come up with a solution. And then, you know, you can do a speed study, you can do, and like just what we've said here is an action plan to move forward. Is a much easier way to solve a problem than just, you know, sort of general traffic issues that are in the town. So the specific issues are good to understand so that we can address them and think about, well, is there's a passing lane where there maybe should not be a passing lane, and we can reach out to the state about that or whatever it may be.
Yeah. But I think we should be willing to listen to those that came here tonight too.
Oh, yeah.
Not saying anybody shouldn't, but.
And just to touch on one thing, the at the night, the motorcycle car spinning their tires. And if there's headlights coming at them, they're not doing it. They won't do it because they're worried it might be a police car coming at them. If there's no cars around with headlights on, they do that everywhere. They do it out in the town. They do it in the village. They do it in parking lots. Absolutely, they do. That without a police car around, I'm never going to solve that completely. ever. It's always been that way. Since cars were invented, it's been like that. But again, I've lived here for 53 years. This town's never been busier than it is today. The whole town, from West Falls through the village to the Elma line. There's more houses here, there's more cars here. And again, every time you have more cars in any given situation, you're going to have more issues like this. We deal with it as best we can, but it's never going to go away.
Yes, sir. Yes, please. You need your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Roger Stevenson. I live at 249 Bowen Road. I did not intend to speak, although when the discussion centered on Center Road, I thought it time for me to speak in behalf of my poor beleaguered Bowen Road, which is now a raceway. I've lived on Bowen Road for 48 years. We don't sleep much in the bedroom towards the road anymore because we can't. Motorcycles come up that road on a regular basis. I'm approximating the speed because I couldn't tell. Can't tell what the license plate is because they're moving too fast. Some of them have to be doing in excess of 80 miles an hour. No, I'm not kidding. And doesn't happen just once or twice. It happens regularly, day or night. It doesn't seem to matter much. The new wrinkle is the new motorcycle, the racing one. Yeah, you can hear them halfway around the world, apparently. So I'd like to speak in behalf of Bowen Road, which seems to get lost somehow. As I say, I've been there for 48 years, and I'm not casting aspersions on anyone. I've never seen a speed trap on Bowen Road. Maybe there have been. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Anyway, so Bowen Road.
Thank you.
Bowen Road is an example of where you would need the sheriff's department involved as well in anything, right? I don't know if you're specifically in the town or.
Yeah, he's in the town. He's a neighbor. So I'm Renee Tarrant and I live at 215 Bowen. I'm also a small business owner in town. Ted will speak to that issue on Main Street. We have had patrols and we've called and we appreciate when they show up. Unfortunately, it's not been at the times when these things happen. That's very difficult and we understand that. However, the issue is always when people are racing off to work or as they're coming home. So having like a noon patrol on a Friday isn't always the best time. So I think it's a matter of us trying to figure out the right times and dates and that sort of thing, days of the week. The biggest issues on Bowen is when you come into the town, people are still flying down there doing their 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. Many are not aware that there is a curve once you get toward the village. We would like to ask that in the conversation with the county or whomever makes the speed limit decisions to have that speed lowered at the town line. 45 miles an hour as soon as you leave the village is right where that condominium complex is, right by the fountain. It becomes immediately 45. It makes zero sense when there's a curve and it's populated with residences. Coming home from work Saturday night from the store on Main Street, I took Bowen Road, and as I was around the curve, one neighbor, 2 doors down from our neighbors here, they were trying to make a left into their driveway. A pickup truck chose to pass them aggressively as they were turning. There's a short little distance of a passing zone, which makes zero sense. So I would also like to petition that we have that passing zone made a double stripe. I know that's out of your jurisdiction, but even setting someone there, you will catch countless people zooming to get out of town because there's a passing zone. They can't go the speed limit. It's beyond them. So anyway, that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the Jake brakes, that's a big thing. Putting the signs right outside the town. I was going to be prepared to play that video so people know what a Jake brake is, but it sounds like.
So they Jake brake coming into down Bowen into the village.
Constant construction workers, your 18 wheelers hauling beers to the bars. They all do it. They all do it. So thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Ted Sincotti, Renee's partner at home and also at work, 654 Main Street, Kickstand Culture Bike Shop. I can't stress enough how the traffic, the noise, the reckless behavior, it's all illegal acts, really, is having a negative impact on our quality of life and the safety. When Renee was speaking, I started getting a little emotional because our safety is at risk when we're getting the mail from our mailbox. My good neighbor was telling you the truth when he said there's bikes going by, motorcycles, 70, 80 miles an hour. With all due respect to the police chief, I'm a pretty good judge of speed. I used to race cars. I used to race on a racetrack in Raceway Park, New Jersey, and regularly watched people race. I rode my car over 100 miles an hour on a regular basis at the racetrack. I'm a pretty good judge of speed. There's motorcycles and cars sometimes running side by side on Bowen, definitely in excess of 70 miles an hour, sometimes more. It's really, I think, out of control. I have actually been at the mailbox when two cars are going side by side, coming within 3 feet of me, going far in excess of the 45-mile-per-hour posted speed. And that's that passing zone that Renee mentioned. It covers only like 3 or 4 houses, and our house unfortunately has it in front of us. The other thing is where the store is located on Main Street. I sometimes talk to customers about their bicycles. And while I'm standing on the sidewalk, talking to them about their bicycles before they bring them into the shop, we have to pause our conversations several times because of the noisy pickup trucks and Harleys going by. These are illegally modified vehicles. The Harleys have straight pipes. All you got to do is stand near Barbill, and the second they start up and excessively rev their engines, it's breaking the decibel limit without a doubt. So I have to stop and pause several times when I'm talking to my customers at 654 Main. I have literally seen at home and work pickup trucks, illegally modified diesel pickup trucks, rolling coal. If you look up rolling coal on Wikipedia, it's really interesting. Almost the entire reason they're doing it is it's not covered by the First Amendment because rolling coal is literally illegal in the state of New York. Rolling coal is an anti-environmentalism display. And they've modified their vehicles to be louder and pour out diesel particulates. It makes a cloud. It's happened when I'm talking to customers in front of my store. I was working in my yard at 215 Bowen. A truck literally slowed down between my house and my next door neighbors, almost to a crawl, and then for 3 houses just let out billows of black smoke. So I can literally talk here for 20 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up, but I respectfully, I hear the police chief saying he can't be everywhere, and when they're somewhere, it's a marked car. So what can you do? Something else has to be done. And also, by the way, I've been here for 20 years, either in the village or in the town of Aurora. This is definitely getting worse, primarily over the last 3 years. The word cultural thing has been used, and I do agree it's a cultural thing, but because it's a cultural thing with the speed, the noise, the anti-environmentalism, it doesn't make it okay. These are laws that are being broken to the detriment of our safety and our quality of life.
Thank you. Some of these problems too, we have to address the village on because, the town doesn't control Main Street, unfortunately, but so that my recommendation also would be if you're sending letters to send them to the village board also on the village streets, because the town has no control over that. But I mean, we hear you guys. I mean, we hear what's going on. And it's all the same problem. We need to look at it and have a plan. Anybody have anything to add to that? Or
Another gentleman that's eager to
Just
speak.
real quick, just to cover a little bit of topic. If you've lived here long enough, you can remember when the speed on Center Street was 55 miles per hour into the village line. I mean, back then there weren't the amount of traffic. So then it went to 45 and the school zone went in that wasn't there before. And it's just keeping up with the times and the population to spread the slower speed limits out to help this situation. You can't keep adding 40 houses a year and expect everything to stay the same. It's not going to. So that's why the village board, the town board, working with the county to reduce speed limits at a greater distance around the village. But that's only a part of the solution, so.
All right. Okay. If we can keep it to just a couple minutes, that would be great. Thank you.
Stephen Smith, 312 Center Street. Mayor's my wife. This is a passionate group of people. They represent people from all around the town. We've all got 1,000,001 anecdotes as to what is and isn't happening at various parts in the village. And I understand this is the first we speak on the phone. And I understand exactly what the police chief is saying. How do you say an exhaust is too loud or not too loud? I just want to really impress upon the board that there seems to be two major issues. People are fearing for their safety. They really are. There are a bigger number of people that we've spoken to and had little meetings with. We are starting to feel for our safety. But also a big thing as well is quality of life is one of the big impacts that noise, speed, etc., is having upon certainly a lot of residents of the village. And I'll be the first one to say that yes, we've got more more vehicles than we ever have, which is a great thing. Our bars, our restaurants, downtown and everything are really benefiting from more people coming into the village. But we worry when we're on the roads and our quality of life is dropping down. And I really want to sort of just impress upon everyone on the board that that's one of the main issues for me. Who's driving fast and everything? We can fix that with signs and police and all that kind of stuff. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I do want to add that we will work with the village. We have our comprehensive plan coming up, at which the community planning will be. We will be looking at community planning, and we can also think about and keep it on the radar when there may be some other opportunities, grant opportunities to look into traffic flow, both from a vehicle standpoint, but New York State has a lot of potential grants for looking at a more holistic view of the streets and what they're used for, bicycles, walking and things. So there is money out there, and we will continue to look at those opportunities.
My name's Ed Cook. I live 341 South Street. I have the house that's right on the corner of Center and South. They have a big bank on the side of the hill, which I have to mow. And when I go down to turn around and come turn my mower around, I have to step into Center Street. And I feel those trucks, those big trucks. Some of them are going a lot faster, 30 miles an hour. I've been almost blown over a few times. That is a major thing because I've fallen a few times and rolled out into the street. So it scares me. The other thing is if there's something in the road, and if you could address this to the county right in front of the Legion there, when these trucks go through there, especially like landscapers and stuff, they got stuff on the back of their truck. It's loud. They bang, and it scares, you're mowing and all of a sudden bang, you don't know it's getting hit. So I'm just, if you could talk to the county about maybe doing something about that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
I'm Barbara Leggett. I live at 83 Pine Street, right in the village. First off, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jim. There are a couple of things. I mean, I am woken up every morning somewhere between 5:21 and 5:23 by the trucks because Pine Street is not in great shape. And one of the things that keeps coming to me is I've seen the changes on Girard just when that crosswalk went in. There are simple solutions that we should be thinking about too. Why are there not more prominent crosswalks painted? Why are there not more visible signs that people need to slow down. That would be wonderful. The other thing to think about is Stephen's right. There's a lot of passionate people here. So how can we help you guys get the funding, the support, and the information you need? So it's not just you doing that, but you having the support of the community saying.
I
This
think it's
matters to
a
us.
matter of funding, but getting, you got our ear. But again, that's a village road, that's going through the village.
I know
So
that.
I think we need to, get both boards involved, okay? And the village can't address any of the town roads, and we can't address any of the village roads. It's,
Yeah.
I know it's government though.
No, I get it. I get it.
But we do need to work together as a village and town
Right.
because we are one community.
Right.
And there are a lot of good ideas here tonight, and we just need to we got to take one step at a time. And I think most of the problems seem like they're on county roads. Yeah. I mean, but
So we need support from this community.
yeah, and
to be approaching
again,
the county. And
I
that's,
talked to the county about Pine Street, because coming out of Pine Street was in the town.
oh, yeah.
And I said, what about the trucks? Well, county roads are rural roads, and we encourage truck traffic on county roads.
Sure.
And that was the answer I got.
Well, just so you guys know, the village board has been discussing Pine Street too, and they were looking at prohibiting trucks on Pine Street. But that's one of the major routes coming into the village and going through Olean Road. And what was discussed was, okay, well, that's probably going to push all those trucks to Maple Road. And then everybody on Maple Road has to deal with it.
Yep.
And then you're pushing the trucks on Main Street.
Yep.
And do you want that during the school year?
To do that, the county told me you have to come up with an alternative traffic
Right.
plan. If you
Right.
want to eliminate the trucks there,
Right.
you have to come up with a plan.
Right, you got to designate
You're just
another
pushing
road
it-
to
you're
put
just-
all the trucks on. So you're
Right.
putting all the problems on one road instead of splitting it
You're
up.
pushing the problem around instead of
Yeah.
maybe
Oh,
somehow
Solid.
slowing them down.
I mean, and just, I mean, as we all know, it's more rural to the east and south of us. So there's going to be more construction and more building, and the companies that are north and west of us are going to be doing that work and going. So it's good and bad.
I do have a question for you. There are some, it sounds like problems that are very general that can happen, 24 hours a day. A truck that has loud brakes or the bump that I didn't know there was one on Center Road that makes that noise. But the more specific problems where, I don't know if it's a white truck or not, but regardless, if there is something along those lines, the chief has said he's going to do a speed study, at least on.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we do them regularly. We deploy
Yeah.
those signs from the time the freezing weather stops to the
Yeah.
time the freezing weather starts, because it kills the batteries too quickly.
Yeah.
But we move those signs around from road to road to road to help calm traffic and to get an idea of what the actual
Right.
around the clock traffic pattern is.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be and I think that's going to be helpful. But I think one of the questions is, how can this community help us out? And I think with those kind of specific problems of particular cars and motorcycles and the trend, blow smoke and all that right now, if you can do your own study and let us know that, yeah, it's happening all the time and there's not really a particular time, or it's always at, as soon as the sun sets, the cars start, going 70, 80 down the street. I don't know what it was happening on those roads specifically, but if you can keep track of that, there may be a pattern. There may be something that's consistent with some of the problems. And the other thing too, I appreciate the chief and his officers can't write a ticket if you say white car and give the license plate, but I prosecuted cases, and I did it with the DA's office. We have a town prosecutor here, and from time to time, the prosecutor has the ability to offer plea bargains. But sometimes an officer will come in and say, this person's a real problem. This person's a frequent flyer. They're doing this all the time. We've got about 10 complaints, and this is the only time we caught them. If the prosecutor knows that, the prosecutor has some discretion to modify how they're going to treat that particular person. So I think if you do have that information and you can pass it on to the right person, it might be helpful.
Trustee or Board Member Granville, I mean, as you know, being in the courts, that's part of the problem too. It used to be you had a piece of your license, paper license that you had to bring into court with you, and they wrote down your violations.
Right.
And they kept track of that. Now it's, well, how many parking tickets do you want to pay for today? And they don't keep track of that anymore. Unless people plead guilty, and nobody pleads guilty anymore.
Right.
So there's less repercussions for getting traffic tickets than there used to be. And that's an issue too.
And that's also a state, as you know, it's a state issue because the state changed the rules where they were going to add parking tickets onto your license so that at least the judges knew what was going on. So, maybe talk to your assemblyman, maybe he can do something.
I'll just add. So I think it's an important step to come here today. When you're looking at what it is that you can do to help us. Really, the conversation is just starting right now. And so it's important to get to us to know those specific cases. And then we can think about as a board what we can do or what we're not able to do. But if there is a specific place, like I said before, like Center Street, we have addressed and Bowen, that's information that, we don't always know because we're not everywhere all the time either. And then if you do see grant opportunities or whatever it is, then it's just a townboard@townofaurora.com email as well. Pretty quick now to send us that we can look into. Now we're not always going to be able to do everything, but if you do have information, then that certainly helps us to we can always say no as a board, but you never know that answer unless we get that information in the first place. So it's a great first step to have the conversations. I think that's the most important. And if there is anything else, we're just an email away.
And I think what I take out of what your board's attitude is, you don't care how many unmarked cars I put in my next budget.
And I'd just like to add real quickly here is that emails to the board and letters to the board go a long ways. So I'll just leave that at that.
Hello, my name is Matt Bindig. I live at 288 Center Street. It's 2 houses north of the intersection of Linden and Center there. So I just would like to start by saying I appreciate the opportunity to speak and I appreciate you all being here as public servants. That goes for you, Shane, as well. Thank you. One thing that's really clear is that this issue is multifactorial. I mean, there's many different parts to this. And so I think that it's helpful to consider some of those factors. So I know Ted spoke about the quality of life issue. What I can tell you is I'm a school teacher and I have to leave my house very early in the mornings to get to work on time. I teach at Orchard Park, so I need to leave sometime between 6:45 and 7 most mornings. Oftentimes, I will wait at the end of my driveway with my back wheels on the skirt of my driveway for 7 to 10 minutes for the opportunity to pull out on Center Street. And that is not because, the reason is that folks pull up at that stop sign at Linden coming down the hill and they'll see my car there and it'll be a race to see who can get out first. The folks will roll through that stop sign so that they can get to where they're going versus coming to a complete stop, which would give me the opportunity to pull out. Now, another thing that often happens is I have 3 children, 17, 14, and 11. And in the summertime, we have a front porch. We eat many of our meals out on that front porch. And there have definitely been, and I know I'm just piling on with anecdotes here, but there have definitely been instances where we'll be sitting there and folks will drive by in very deliberate acts to disturb that piece. It's a rolling coal. I didn't know that term until just now. Or, you're out and people just want to be seen, and so they'll have those mufflers that they've augmented or the big smokestacks that they've augmented just to be like, hey, I just want to let you know you're here or we're here, kind of thing. And that stuff grates on you after a while. It's a quality of life issue. I love sitting on the front porch. I think that's a thing that's been lost. More people do that, say hello to your neighbor and whatever. And that's what our community is really about. So I don't really know what the solution is, but I do appreciate you listening. And I think the more stories you hear, hopefully the more it will kind of amplify that that it is kind of a like, bread and butter issue for folks who live here. Obviously, safety is part of that and speed is part of that, but it's also generally speaking that like, gosh, I live in this community for a reason and was hoping that didn't have to deal with some of these issues. So again, thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're gonna, I'd like to summarize this. I think we've heard, we hear you, okay? We all hear you, and we know there's an issue. We all need to work together on it. We'll work with the police department. We'll work with the county, we'll work with the village. I don't know if there's one solution. I think there's many solutions, and all we can do is start the ball rolling. And I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that, but we appreciate you coming tonight, and we appreciate you emailing us and let us know when there's a problem, and we'll do our best to address it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Is Mr. Owens here tonight? Should we move on? Move on and then see if he comes? Has anyone tried calling him or? Okay. All right, we'll wait on that and move on to the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the July 24th, 2023 meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Joe and Jim. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have audience, and this is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to address the board on any items that are on the agenda. Anybody? Okay. We have no unfinished business. We'll go right to new business. We have the library storage shed bid.
You're gonna add TE9 to the agenda? You're gonna add the TE9 to the agenda or?
Okay, yeah. All right. Talked enough about the TE9. We've got to add that to new business. So do I have a motion to add a TE9 study for Center Street in the town of Aurora?
So moved. Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck,
I'll second.
second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. That'll be P. Okay. And we'll move on to the library storage shed bid. We had 3 bids with Veraka Builders coming in at the low bid of $25,006 without putting the window in, correct?
That's correct.
Which will still probably be, will be the lowest, even adding the window. So I have a motion to authorize the Racker Builders as the builder of the new storage shed for the library.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion?
So I just for clarification, so we go to Veraka Builders and we say we want a window and they say $2,000. We say, no, we're not doing a window.
Yeah.
Forget it.
No, it'll be a change order and it'll come to us again,
Okay.
whatever it is, even.
So they don't have us by the short hairs for a window on, because the short hairs that's an expression because we've approved this first part of the quote.
No, we're good.
All right, excellent.
Yeah. The other bids were like $450 or $600 for that window.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, next we have the highway truck bid. And there was only one bid, and that was from West Herb Ford. And this is for a 2023 newer or a full-size 3/4 ton 4x4 pickup truck. And that was for $56,573.43. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Jim.
Let's go. Wait here.
I'll second.
The second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Someday you're gonna get as old as me.
That's right. No, I'll just put a name tag on.
You guys sound alike. There you.
You guys do that.
All right. Next, we have the highway overhead door replacement. And the low bid on that was Hamburg overhead door. And that was in the amount of $7,302. And this is to replace a door that's beyond repair at the highway garage. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Luke,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. And this is a request from Kathleen Moffett to hire a building department clerk. Her name is Dorothy. She goes by Dolly Bailey of 124 Maple Avenue, East Aurora. She'll be a clerk, part-time seasonal, and be effective August 15th, 2023. And as confirmed by Erie County, she may retain the seasonal status for 20 weeks. The rate of pay will be $17.50 per hour. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Luke,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next, we have the recycling bin purchase request from Martha Librock. And she wants to buy 314-gallon recycling bins from Cascade Engineering at an amount of $3,371 and the shipping of $500. That's $3,371 total with the shipping. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Chuck,
I'll second.
second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next, we have a proposal from GHD, Town Engineer, the SWIP proposal, Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan for NICEC, for the NICEC Poles Insulator Project, in the amount of $1,200, which is reimbursed by NICEC. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
Second.
second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Did we hear from Don? They're on their way in? Okay. Yes. Okay.
And if I may, real quick, the expression "got him by the short hairs" refers to the hairs on the back of your neck. I looked it up. That's how I always learned it, and the looks made me nervous.
Thank you for
So I
that.
verified it. You're certainly
Thank you
welcome.
for that clarification.
And just wanted to verify that it was removed from the popular vernacular in 1927.
I thought it was 1871.
I'm gonna stay away from this one. Next, we have a temporary use permit for the lacrosse champion lacrosse thing, and it's at October 28th and 29th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Everything seems to be in order. I think we have our insurance, we have the insurance and everything. I would move that we go ahead and make a motion to approve this contingent upon the parking and traffic plan that they adopt.
Yeah, I would move to approve the application, but pending the, or not pending, but so long as they have parking and traffic plan in place.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chuck. Any discussion?
So this is not a for-profit event, correct?
Not that I don't believe they're for profit. No.
The guy left a little while ago.
Yeah, I don't think there anything.
The high school.
High schoolers, right? So I don't
High school
believe
event,
it.
so I doubt very much is the profit. Yeah.
I know that we had, when we did the yoga at the park, we had issues about a for-profit event happening in one on the town property.
Yeah, there are food trucks. And the other thing, my other question would be, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't see anything about porta potties.
Right on top.
Is it?
11, Porta John.
Oh, yeah, I looked. Tents, lacrosse, goals,
Yep.
safety. Okay, thank you.
It is a LLC, but that doesn't say whether that's a nonprofit or not. A limited liability,
Is it a New York company? I can look it up.
champion lacrosse.
Would it be for just a fundraiser to support their group?
That's what the insurance certificate is made out to.
Gentleman's gone, right?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Looking it up.
No, it's not a not-for-profit. It's not a 501c3.
So it's not a non-profit, so
It's a for-profit.
for-profit. So what does that,
I mean, it's in the end of October. Can we motion to
Approved yet, right? It's just-
table it?
Yeah, the motion's been made, it's been seconded, but there hasn't been a vote on it yet.
right, we can table this.
I would prefer tabling it to look into this and get some more information. I would want to know also, I mean, what are the funds going to be? If they're going to be donated to somewhere in the community and then what is our policy on for-profits in the parks? This is after Borderlands, so I don't think there's an issue there. There's no crossover, right?
Yeah, but I think your concerns are valid. You want to set a precedent where people can utilize our public spaces for profit.
So Jim, do you want to withdraw your motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna withdraw the motion.
Okay. Then I'll need another motion to table.
I'll make
for
that
further
motion
information.
to table this. Yeah.
Okay. Who made the motion?
Did Luke make it? Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I
That's
didn't
carried.
think of it. That is good. We shouldn't, we don't want that. Right, Luke gets the big bucks.
And Jim, if you want me or Martha to look anything up or take a role in that, since I was the one that spoke up, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just forget about it and then 2 weeks later be in the same
I'm
position.
happy to look at it, look into it. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll look into it and I'll talk to John and
All right.
find out. Thanks, Luke, for
Discuss some
spotting
answers.
that.
We can always do it at the next meeting.
Right.
Wait, I know that was parking thing. All right, the pickup truck auction results. This is from Auction International, I believe, 2015 F-250 came in at 24,400 and the timing gate closed at $25. I have a motion to accept those bids.
Go ahead.
Second.
Motion by Joe, second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. I suppose we could do this next one. Don is on his way for his proclamation, but Don has given his resignation. He's moving out of the area. He's moving to Fox Run. And he wrote his letter of resignation and we have to accept that. So and I have a motion to accept.
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
Second by Luke. Any discussion?
This is a end of an era and a real tragedy. Don's a great guy, full of knowledge, and it's going to be sad to not have him on the planning board anymore.
Yes, for sure.
I was on it with him back in the 90s.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
and he was just a wealth of knowledge, good guy. And hopefully he's coming tonight to get his proclamation.
It truly was an honor to serve with him, as did I, because he's such a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Our new replacement is going to do an awesome job, that's for sure, but
Well, I've got actually a couple hundred questions here to ask the new replacement. So let's not jump to any conclusions. We've got a long night ahead of ourselves of doing our due diligence on the next candidate.
All right, well,
Jim's gonna order pizza.
again, with pepperoni this time. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. All right, so next we have, and this is a recommendation from Don. I'd asked him who would he recommend to take just to finish out his term, and he said Doug Crow, who's here tonight, Doug. And so I'm asking to appoint Doug to fulfill the unexpired term of Don, which is 12/31/2023, and then to move up Christopher Contendo, who is a current planning board alternate, to fill Don Owens' unexpired term of planning board member, which ends 12/31/2025.
And Luke, I would be happy to answer all 200 of your questions.
Calling your bluff.
Luke's gonna put them in writing.
No, he said that because he knew I would be happy to answer.
No, we, just to say that yes, we're very unfortunate to be losing Don, but we are also equally fortunate to be having you step into this role. Thank you for doing it.
Absolutely.
Your knowledge has been you've input your knowledge into the coding changes that we've made and to other aspects, and we appreciate your advice, and we look forward to receiving that advice continuing in the future. So thank you for everything you do, and we look forward to you maybe competing with Don about term, see if you can last as long as he is.
And just, to be clear, I've been very clear for anybody I've ever talked to about this. This is an act of service for me, right? This is service to the town, and I'll serve as long as the board wants me to serve. And when you don't want me to serve, I'll serve something else. I'll do something else.
Thank you.
It's.
Well, you've earned your wings.
Yep.
Yep. You put your time in. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Doing a great.
Yeah,
job.
I actually was named to the planning board when Chuck
Yeah.
got elected to the
Yes,
town.
yes.
They created an opening on the planning board, and you guys posted an article in the paper and says, "Hey, anybody interested?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, "Sure. Hey, give back to the community." So
You've done a good job. Thank you.
And we do have the New York Forward application coming up right in your backyard. And so I'll be reaching out to you. We've got I'll speak about that a little bit later, but there's
yeah,
definitely some
I
work
know
to get moving on.
They asked us to come back again the next year. So yeah, we want to do that. And obviously, I know one of the other things you talked about, Luke, was we really need to think about long-term strategic plan.
Well, we did announce the news.
We received a grant from Erie County to fund a new comprehensive plan. So it's huge.
I guess we should have approved your appointment before we gave you that news.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it, but yeah.
Like I said, I'm here to serve at the board's pleasure, and you guys tell me what your priorities are.
We get to spend some money now. We're getting the grant.
So, whatever. Money, time.
And a whole lot more time.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, well then, do I have a motion to appoint Doug Crowe to fill the expired term of planning board chairman Don Owens to 12/31/2023?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Luke,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. And then
Thank you.
the motion to appoint Christopher Contento to as a current planning board alternate to fill Don Owens' unexpired term of planning board member ending 12/31/2025.
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
I'll second.
second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Thank you.
Can I just butt in for a minute?
Mhm.
Since the meetings haven't been running long, I haven't set the doors to stay open that late. So somebody might want to run down
Oh.
and make sure the door's unlocked.
Would anybody willing to make sure that Don can get into the building?
Or he's trying to cost something.
Maybe he's been here all along.
Guess they don't want me.
He's walking around the building, checking all the doors.
All right, L.
And that
This
door's
is a
closed,
budget
too.
amendment for the senior center grant funds. For the historian and the senior center. This is from Kathleen Moffett. She needs to amend the budget to record the receipt of the Erie County funds for the senior center and historian's office. The amendment is as follows. Increase revenue line A2706 grants from local governments by 10,000. Increase appropriation line A6772.401 office supplies by 5,000 and increase appropriation line A7510.401 office supplies by 5,000. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. And we have M, this is a budget amendment for the senior center dishwasher repair. Donna Bodecker had to get the dishwasher repaired, not replaced. And we need to pay it out of contingent. So we need the amendment to file decrease A1990 contingent account by $806.14 increase A1620.422 building and grounds repairs by $806.14. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, this is a letter of engagement. Please, this is from Martha. Please authorize the supervisor to sign the attached letter of engagement with Goldberg Segala, the attorney designated by Selective Insurance to represent the town in the Ruffner versus Village of East Aurora, Town of Aurora lawsuit. And this is in a lawsuit dealing with Tannery Brook repairs that the village made on the pipe going underneath the bank and all that. We got named in a lawsuit, but probably will be excused. But could cost us some money, you know, but that's, we have a $10,000 deductible on our insurance, so we'll see where it goes. So.
I can't imagine that we have any liability for the pipe that the village put in the
We don't.
village.
We don't, but we're still named.
I get it. Yeah, I just don't see this as a big risk for the town of Aurora. More of a,
You know, these lawyers gotta sue everybody. Hey.
You're surrounded by them. Careful,
My
supervisor.
God.
Bridget, let's
three of y'all here.
Bridget, let's talk after the meeting tonight. There's some things going on over there, you know, off Gypsy Lane we may want to talk about and think about. Brainstorm a bit, eh?
Do I have a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the selective insurance agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Chuck, second by Joe.
Yep, it was me.
All in favor?
Well, wait, I just wanted to add a quick question for the
Okay.
discussion part.
Any questions?
So because Selective Insurance is picking up the tab, they choose the attorney. Is that my assumption? I want to make sure I'm correct about that.
What was the question?
The insurance company is designated Goldberg Scala. We didn't choose them. So it's because our insurance carrier is potentially picking up the tab that they get to choose the attorney. Okay, I want to make sure I
And we
understand
have
that.
a $10,000 deductible on our insurance policy, so hopefully it won't.
It stops short of triggering our
Just a couple
deductible.
of letters and we're out of it.
Yeah, all right. That was it.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I don't know this for a fact, but I thought as the insured, you can select your attorney, but it's something that would then be approved by the insurance company. I don't have anyone else to suggest, but I'm just throwing that out there in case that this comes up again sometime.
I did not know that. I always thought that the insurance company, since they're paying the freight.
Right.
Yeah, the last say in that. But-
Yeah, so the insurance company is representing the town.
Mhm.
The town's the client, not the insurance company, so you do have a little bit of
Okay.
discussion that you can have with them.
Here, I thought about that as well. Just to be clear, I mean, the hourly rates that they are charging are quite low, I think, from the market. So, and we're not expecting this to be a larger matter. So I think for me, it's okay to appoint him. But yeah, I agree with you. In the future, we would, if there's a bigger matter, we could.
And this should be slam dunk, really. I mean.
No.
we have it.
And I mean,
Ability at all.
partner and special counsel are 225, associates 180. That's not, you're not gonna.
Any other questions? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next, we have a temporary use permit for cyclocross in West Falls Park. This is something we've done for many years now, and it's always worked out very well. And they have the insurance. They don't have the insurance. Oh, yeah, needs insurance. Okay, so we can approve this contingent on the insurance, so, right, getting the insurance, so. I have a motion to approve the temporary use permit for cyclocross, and this is contingent upon receiving the proper insurance, and the dates of the event are October 15th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
So moved.
Motion by Luke,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion?
They've always done a good job. Dave always says they clean up afterwards, so no
Never
concerns
had a
here.
problem.
Never had a problem.
No. Any other questions? All in
Nope.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. And P is what we added as a TE9 traffic study on Center Street and Bowen Road, correct?
Can you be specific as from where to where on Center Street? Because I can't just submit it as Center Street.
Blakely down or closer? What's closer than
I
Blakely?
think we have to do a
Sweet down.
from,
Sweet
if
down.
not beach to the village line.
Well, what would you recommend, chief?
It's 45, is it 45, Shane?
Yeah.
45.
Once it gets out of past the high school,
Westgate said.
once it gets past like the high school, is it still 45?
That's middle.
Oh, all the way to Blakely, okay.
But I mean, I don't think the issue is 45 out there. It's, like from Old Center or Beach or wherever we can.
I just think you want to cast a little bit wider net. Beach to the village line is 200 yards.
Yeah.
The area you want to check.
Yeah.
The formulas they use to determine what the speed should be has a big bearing on accidents. And besides sliding, cars sliding up the road there in the wintertime, I don't think there's a lot of accidents, so that they might tell you there's no reason to change it. But I wouldn't make it too big of an area.
What about Bowen Road? Okay,
Maybe
Hillside or-
Seneca to Hillcrest?
Hillcrest, is it? Yeah, it's Hillcrest, right? Yeah.
Because I think the town,
Or to the town line.
the town line, wherever the
Yeah,
town
we'll
line.
go to the town line, might as well.
That's right there anyway, right?
What side?
Woodland.
Yeah.
It's the last road.
Okay.
Yeah, that's only just, that's
Okay.
couple hundred.
Okay, good, Mark.
That'd be good.
So are we going to the town line or to Woodland?
Town line.
Town line.
Oh, like the 30 mile per hour.
Because I think people hit that telephone pole there. Isn't that a thing that happens?
Again, generally in the winter.
Yeah.
And if there are any speeding issues there, which there seems to be, I would imagine most of them are heading out of town once you pass the 90-degree turn. Because it's a straight shot, and I think our coverage is limited, the sheriff's is even more limited, so they know they're free once they hit the line.
Okay.
So where's Center Street?
The motion for this would be from the town, from the end of the village line, the town, where town starts, all the way to Blakely.
To Blakely.
No, I wouldn't.
Blakely and Westgate.
Did you say Blakely or
No.
say Westgate?
Westgate or not?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We were talking about Blake, the speed limit in Blakely. And then from Bowen Road, from Seneca to the town, end of the town line.
Unless part of that's in the village? No. Where's the village start there? Right there on the,
It's,
but the other side is town, right? Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
40.
you can see a couple feet on it. There's actually like 30 yards of 30 mile per hour speed at the beginning.
So if I'm asking for it from Seneca Street to the town, or from Seneca Street to the town line, then we have to get a resolution from the village also, because it involves
Then I
them
would just say from
How about from Highland?
village line.
from the village line. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why he's the chief.
Right? Do I have a motion?
One of the reasons.
So moved. Oh, sorry, Chuck.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
Like by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Opposed, and that is carried. And I see Don is here. So we'll take a pause, and I'd like to go down and read a proclamation to Don and give it to him. Not gonna hurt, Don.
did you bring your soil Bible?
Use the
There
microphone.
it is.
Use the microphone. Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm all right.
I had the pleasure of working with Don on the planning board. Oh, back in the late 90s, I believe, and he taught me a lot, Don. And I'd like to give you a proclamation. So Do you need to sit or are you good?
Fine.
Okay. All right. This is a proclamation of appreciation to Donald Owens and his years of service to the town of Aurora and community. Whereas Donald Owens has served on the Aurora Town Planning and Conservation Boards for more than 50 years, including many as the chairman. And whereas as a graduate of the University of Wisconsin, where he earned a bachelor's and master's degree in soil science, and is a former soil survey leader with Cornell University and president of Earth Dimensions, Inc., Don's expertise in soil drainage, development, and environmental issues has been an invaluable asset to the planning board and by extension to all residents of the town of Aurora and the village. And whereas Don's willingness to give back to the community has extended beyond the planning board, including his efforts to preserve Western New York railroad history and to protect the environment. And whereas Don and Barbara Owens' generous contributions have led to the establishment of the Western New York Railway Historical Society in Buffalo and the Owens Falls Sanctuary here in the town of Aurora. And whereas Don's professional and his chipper attitude has made the town of Aurora a much better place. So now, therefore, on behalf of the residents of the town of Aurora, we do hereby make this public proclamation of thanks in commendation to Donald Owens for his service to the town of Aurora and our region, with best wishes upon his retirement as chairman of the planning board and conservative board. This is signed on this 14th day of August in the year 2023 and entered into the record of Aurora Town Board on the 14th day of August in the year 2023. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good picture. Okay. Go ahead.
So my professional background started in the state it was born in, which is Wisconsin. And I got my bachelor's and master's from the University of Wisconsin. And I was mapping soils in northwestern Wisconsin. And not too many people can say that they were in the woods and they encountered a wolverine. And I did. And they're a mean critter. But then I was offered a job, a dream job, with Cornell University to map Erie County, New York. I accepted that. And here I am, 1972, in a long time. And I enjoy helping communities, including the town of Aurora and other communities. These hands secured the first confirmed dioxin sample at the Love Canal. I helped Crane Ridge understand landsliding issues. So I've had a lot of fun. And I'm not dying, though I'm moving to Orchard Park. I will be available if the town wishes me to attend meetings to answer any questions, questions that you might have. And thank you for allowing me to be on the planning board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. That's all right.
Mic drop.
Dan, thank you for many, many years. You're going to be missed, but thank you for offering to continue to advise us, and we appreciate that very much.
And I will do that.
Thank you.
Trust in me.
Thank you.
Most important, we heard that you'll be at the meetings. That's.
All right, moving on, communication and reports. We have the July 2023 Senior Center, Town Clerk Tax, Town Clerk Water, Dog Control, Work Requisitions, East Aurora Police Department, and Supervisor Report. We also have a letter of thanks from the East Aurora Boys and Girls Club for our annual donation. And now we'll go to business from the board members and start with Joe.
Nothing to report today. Fresh back from vacation, tan, rested and ready.
Jim?
I'm just not gonna have anything to report right now.
Okay. Chuck?
Yes, at our last meeting, we had a resident in West Falls across from the library who had a drainage problem. And Supervisor Bach at that time said, you know what, we need to talk to our town engineer, which is Cammie from GHD. And about a week after that or so, Supervisor Bach and myself met with Chaz Vance, Cammie, Jim and I, and went through a bunch of scenarios, not too much different than what you heard here from him. But Cammie did say that she would get in touch with the state, with the Department of Transportation, you know, regarding the road that's coming in, because, you know, it just kind of makes the most sense. Which she did. We have received a letter back from her, which doesn't, I don't know if it's quite 1000% finalized now, but it probably is not going to happen as far as the state digging a new drainage line for Chaz Vance. He wanted to do some excavation on town property on the other side up from him on the creek side of Davis Road. That excavation would be extremely dangerous. That was pretty much not going to happen as recommended by our engineer. So I think it's at a point where Supervisor Bach and or Cammie and maybe myself will write a letter to Mr. Vance and just say, give him his options, which are not excavating that. And it's probably not going to happen with the state digging that new drainage line for him. And he's going to have to.
For him to even think about digging, our engineer said there's so many permits that he'd have to, it'd be 2 or 3 years before he could even start.
Yeah.
It's just the permits that he would need from DEC she named up all these different governmental agencies that he'd have to get permitted. So he's got options of trying to jet spray that drainage out, or he's already draining it into a DI.
Yeah.
And it's just putting a crack in and a sump pump, which most people do. So those are his options.
Yeah.
And Chuck, I appreciate you doing that. If I could just add, looking into that, because that's something obviously that was a great concern, a great expense to him. I've forgotten that I had talked to some of the neighbors. I wanted to maybe talk to a few more, but it seems like everybody on the west side of Davis Road, and probably some of the east side as well, have the drainage problem from the hill. And the suggestion I was given is that the DOT isn't going to help, but go instead talk to Pat Galvin, and that's something that I'm not going to do until I can get some signatures from the neighbors and things like that. So I just wanted to add that as well, but appreciate that. And if I'm done doing that, I'd like to show it to you, and maybe we can figure out a way to do
Absolutely.
that. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Nope, that's it.
Yeah, I mentioned the New York Forward Grant. So we did set a time. We're very fortunate this year that the executive director of Empire State Development and the deputy director who is responsible for the New York Forward program are going to be visiting West Falls on September 13th from 1 to 4 to do a tour and see the applicants of the properties. This is important. I don't do this for everybody. This is because of our strong application last year. Before that, we'll set a date to meet with the applicants and understand so we can put a better application together. So if anybody is interested in participating in that, let me in both events, let me know. So we've got a lot of work by the end of September to put that all together. Just so we know that we do need to have the application completed a first draft by the time they come out. So they're going to have a reference as to what they're looking at as they go. The Center for the Arts will be doing a memory cafe specifically on that date so that there is an activity to look at. The Conservation Society will have something for them. Shoot some guns or something. I don't know. Library and Blueberry Treehouse Farm, Rails to Trails. So all throughout that corridor. Probably 3 hours will go quickly. One other thing they had mentioned is that they will be in the area. So there are any manufacturing companies that are interested in Empire State Development programs that they would be able to speak with them about what sort of funding opportunities are available there. So I was thinking maybe Chuck, you could talk to Neil.
Yeah.
If there's any other options, they're very interested in that. So New York Forward. The second is ambulances. It does look like the county is going to be a little bit ahead of time on the first ambulance. We all received a letter, as did the village, as did the advertiser, as did everybody about an incident that happened in the village here. And we think we have identified that we need to improve response times. The county is going to come out. We haven't set the final date yet, but it does look like the South Wales Fire Department has a space for them. So they're going to come out and see if it's appropriate to house an ambulance before they complete their building, which will be quite a ways down the road. So hopefully we can get that backup ambulance pretty soon to fill the gap for those types of situations. I'll let you know when we have a final date between South Wales and the county on that. And then last, the Climate Smart Community Task Force, we did apply for bronze certification. We'll find out about that hopefully in September. I encourage you to look at the points for the silver classification to see if there are any town projects that you want the Climate Smart Community Task Force to be taking on. Some of them get a little bit more seriously, but as you get more serious, there's also funding to be able to take on those projects. So take a look. It's an easy review in the website. And if you need access to the town of Aurora, what we've done and what we've submitted for and what we can still do, let me know. We still have the website, need authorization of $250 to get a website. So just let me know your thoughts on that so we can move forward. I'd like to have that taken care of by our next meeting, the third Wednesday of the month. So next week, Wednesday, right? That would be this Wednesday. Well, that's unfortunate. I mean, just because it's less time to prepare. So, and we have a pretty good schedule for that coming up this Wednesday. So, feel free to join.
Thank you, Luke. I just have one thing. We have Chuck's birthday, couple days. So happy birthday, Chuck.
Oh, thank you.
79 years old, and
how old?
You're looking for 79, is it? Pretty close.
Just remember, you're only a year younger than me.
Touche. Okay, audience, this is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to address the board on any item whatsoever. Nobody? Then we'll go to staff reports. Brad?
Quickly, just to mention controversial on the issue. And just reading the tea leaves, makes me one of those that over both those might be challenging.
Okay, thanks. Doug? Or Don, this could be your last one.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doug.
Nothing.
Okay. Thank you. Shane?
Set it up.
Usually you're the one that calms everybody down out there so they don't yeah.
Elizabeth.
Thank you for the hiring tonight. We're looking forward to having Dolly in the office. This week Rich is on vacation, so oftentimes you'll see the office closed this week. But we always leave out the sign-in sheet and, people are able to leave us a note if necessary. But back at it, he's got one more class to finish and then he'll be fully certified for New York State. Just waiting on civil service to post
All right, thank you. Is there anybody online? Nobody? Okay. All right, motion to approve the abstract.
We'll move.
Motion by Luke,
I'll second.
second by Chuck, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Actually, I take that back. I cannot find my key to the building, so I did not review the abstract, so I probably shouldn't be voting on it or motioning. Can we do that again?
I'll let Chuck remove that.
You,
Yeah.
you gotta remove your motion.
Yeah, I could remove my motion. Yeah.
And I'll make the motion.
Okay. So Chuck's making the motion
I'll second it.
and Jim's seconding it.
I did review it.
I'm gonna
Any
abstain. Yeah.
discussion?
I'll abstain from the vote and then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. I don't know. We might have to vote to get you another key.
I do need another key. I'm not giving up yet, but I was not able to locate it this weekend to be able to do that. And then today I got too busy, so.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Jim,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?